Breaking Story, Night on the Wire.
Hey, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of Voices of Change. And this is a special HTX News series that we're going to dedicate to highlighting the individuals who are making a difference in our community and through advocacy, education, service, and inspiration. So I hope that everybody enjoys the show. I'm joined by my co-host Maria at the top left side here, and we're honored to also have our special guest here with us this evening. We have Melissa DiVietri on with us.
Hi, everybody. Hi. Nice to be here. Ooh, it's not hot.
She's not originally from Houston, so let's give her a great Houston welcome. She's been having to put up with this heat that we have here.
Yes, I'm surprised I haven't melted out there. I'm from Detroit originally, so I'm digging the inside.
Oh yeah, the AC inside is like perfect. So we try not to do too many outdoor activities, throughout the summer. It's rough.
It's very, very rough during the summer times, and it's not even summer yet. I believe we're still in spring. So you're lucky to be here before summer, because once summer gets here, it's like the fire burner really turns up on the stove.
Yeah, this is a lot hotter than I've lived in a lot of tropical places, Bali, Colombia, Florida, but the heat here is like no other. So I'm just trying to grasp myself on what that change is like.
Yeah, I did see as I was going through some of your background, it seems like you traveled the world quite a bit. That you get around, which is awesome. Me and AJ, we really love to travel as well. So I mean, it's really something that we enjoy, and just to be able to get out there and see the world is just awesome.
Thank you. I've always had this artist mentality where I'm inspired by my surroundings. So a lot of the artwork, I have a painting behind me. This is one of my pieces that I brought for the show. A lot of my inspiration comes from colors and languages and sounds and architecture. So I use my traveling to inspire what I'm creating with my art showcases. And then for every painting that I make, I attach a story to it. So something really personal about something I learned, or something internal about myself or what I'm going through. And I just paint with purpose. I put it all in there, and I have this artwork hanging in many places internationally. I have 38 art showcases, and I've also traveled to 38 countries. So I just have this go-getter mentality where I will figure it out. If I have to do it 100 different times, I will find a way to make it happen.
That's
How long?
amazing. Yeah, adjusting and like being able to like adjust to your environments and to your puppy.
Who do we have there? Is that Oreo?
This is Oreo. Yeah, she's letting us know that we've got 4 watchdogs across the street. So I see them. Thank you for letting us know. She's my new service animal, and she's a year and 3 months. And I adopted her from the Humane Society in Tampa, Florida. And she came from also a not so great past as a puppy. So a lot of the folks at the Humane Society discouraged me from adopting Oreo because they didn't think that she could fit the paws. And it just took a lot of extra training and a lot of extra love. But Oreo is so smart, and she picks things off the ground for me. She pulls me. She's also learning smells. So I take her to Menards, and I don't know if you have any Menards here.
I'm familiar with this store, but no, we don't have it here, but I'm familiar with this store though.
It's like a hardware store where there's sounds and things like that. So I hide these smells throughout the hardware store, and it's up to Oreo to help be able to point it out when we're going down that aisle. So I do all of the training myself now. We do what's called a 7-minute discipline training every morning. So I use a different treat for her in the mornings because she knows she's going to learn something, and she gets a special treat. But we also went to a gentleman named Dan in Connecticut for Canine Unified, and he worked with her as well. So any animal can become a service animal as long as they are able to fulfill that task. So I really love that. I went through the misconceptions, and Oreo is now my unconditional road dog buddy. She's been to more places than most Americans, and she's only a year and 3 months. This dog is very traveled.
Well,
That's
awesome.
really cool. What does this smell training do? Like, what does she need to be like what? How does that work?
Yeah, so and for me as well, like I was like, what is this? Like, what do you mean smell? Like, so I have allergies to certain foods that I'm eating. So if I go out to eat at a restaurant, a lot of times I have my disability, my disease is called sacral agenesis. So I'm missing. It's also called caudal regression syndrome. That's like the Wikipedia med term. So with that, I have a lot of internal surgeries. So food that I used to love and enjoy, I can't eat that anymore. So sometimes I can't tell the distinction if that food is containing that ingredient. So Oreo, it's like an Easter egg hunt with her. I hide it in little bags, I hide it in different spots, and I just wait and see if she points it out. And 9 out of 10 times she finds it. So it's a really great to be able to go to a restaurant and task her with these things. People are so interested and intrigued. They ask the same question, what is she smelling for? And so if I do eat something that doesn't settle well, it's like 5, 6, 7 hours where I'm just unsettled. So I'd rather try to figure out ways to know in
avoid it.
advance.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Okay,
No,
that is
that's
amazing.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I've heard of service animals, detecting, I guess you would say, when someone has a low sugar or something, where they can sense, I guess, your body lets off some type of, would it be a pheromone? I don't know the medical technology for that.
Yeah, I think like a hormone levels.
Okay.
Probably.
To be able to detect that. So that's really cool that they can, the Oreo can actually assist you with that. That's amazing.
Yeah, there's different types of service animals, and this is something that I get to talk about when I'm doing my story time telling. So there's medical alert dogs. There's guide dogs for individuals with low vision. There are mobility assistant dogs, which is Oreo. You can also do a psychiatric emotional support dog. So individuals like veterans or folks that have, again, epilepsy or seizures, etc. I'm learning through this journey of my stories and my book writing. I don't know everything, so I'm finding resource centers so that I can learn about them. And Oreo and I have been visiting canine companion places so that we can watch them in action, in mode, and then be able to educate and shine awareness on that to everybody else. Because these are, I didn't know service animals existed growing up as a child. It wasn't until college that I found out I need a service animal. I need somebody to help me around and do these things. And now I don't know, I don't see my life without having a little furry shadow kind of around me as a security.
So in terms of service animals, are there certain, I guess you would say, a public etiquette, of how people should interact with service animals when they see them out in public? I mean, I know they say, oh, a cute dog, you want to walk up and, try to pet the dog or, try to interact with it that way. But is that something that people should try to avoid? They should probably approach the person that the service animal is with first before doing that?
Yes, 100%. You are right on the nail with the etiquette. I couldn't tell you how many times my pet peeve is when people will whistle at her or snicker at her or call her names and cute things, and she wears a massive thing. It says like service animal in training, do not distract, do not pet. If I am lost, come find my owner, so that if I fall or something, then that's an alert for her. And so that is the perfect way to describe it, is always ask the handler, which is myself, permission if you can approach the service animal, because what you don't want to do is you don't want to distract them from what their job is, because if something does happen and that service animal is got all these things bopping around, then that could become a medical emergency. So I always say, like, yes, you can approach Oreo and I will more than likely let you pet her depending on what we're doing, as long as we're not in motion or something. But I have to be able to have it under supervision, because I want her to know that every time we go somewhere, it's not her getting pet and played, it's her sitting down waiting for the cue, and then that person can come and pet. And she likes it. She loves the discipline. It gives her purpose. It gives her meaning. She almost waits for it, because she's like, all right, what are we going to do today, Mom?
That's sweet.
Thank you.
Well, that's really good to know, because I'm sure a lot of people, again, don't understand that. I would also like to ask you about, I know that there's a big misconception where people, I guess you would say, people try to say that their dog is a service animal so they can bring them into stores and so forth with them. How big of a problem is that in terms of people that really do need assistance with their service dogs, and you have people that are trying to claim that their animal is a service dog just so they can bring them into the store with them and so forth?
Right, and that animal that is not a service animal coming in and approaching, there are times where those dogs have lunged at me or barked at me, and you know that they're not a service animal, because service animals don't do that. Or unless there is some type of fear or anxiety, or there's a extraordinary situation. And so people will brag to me, and they'll show me their fake vests. They make them vests, like homemade vests,
Oh,
and show me
wow.
with like numbers on it that they wrote. And I'm looking at them, and I'm looking at my wheelchair, and I'm looking at the dog, and I have no words, because I almost want to say, like, hey, this is making it really hard for people like myself to be able to do this without being harassed. I've been followed around the store before, where people say you can't be in here. I've been kicked out of Airbnbs and restaurants and off of airplanes because of not having that knowledge of what these policies and these federal laws are for. And I became an advocate through law change and making, because this needs to be instilled more into everyday equal access. Because when someone is taking advantage of the system, it takes away from all the people that need the system. I'm getting chills
Yeah.
like talking about this.
Yeah,
because
no, it's very
it really
important though.
frustrates me.
Yeah, no, I could tell, because I could understand how that could be frustrating, because it leaves a bad image and a bad taste on people, when they see animals, like you said, in a store and so forth.
Misbehave, yeah.
Yeah, misbehave. Yeah, that's the
misbehaving.
word I'm looking for.
But also,
Wow.
like, to me, is it the equivalent of like someone getting on a wheelchair who doesn't need it? It's the same thing, like faking being on a wheelchair, like faking having your dog. It's like you're utilizing something that someone actually needs and depends on to like get a benefit that that you don't need. So I don't know. It just sounds awful to me.
AJ, there's a term for that, what you just mentioned. It's called Jetway Jesus. So it's people that use the wheelchairs at airports, and they're using it to get all the way through security, all the way onto the plane, and then they get seated, and all of a sudden, whoa, hallelujah,
They
they
can
just
wonderfully walk.
right off the plane. Yeah, there's a term that we say for that.
Yeah, and I've seen that before, actually.
Yeah, I've been in a wheelchair before, but like I have CRPS, complex regional pain syndrome, and so sometimes my pain it often affects just one side, but when it flares on the other side, then I have a hard time walking for like even short distances. So I've had to use a wheelchair in like large places or an airport, but it's like it's not something that one goes and uses just to get ahead of the line or like do stuff like that. It's just like it's like you said, it's abuse in the system, and it shouldn't be done because it harms people that actually need it.
Can you tell us a little bit about your book that you're actually here in Houston doing your book signing and book tour on? Give us a little bit of background on that.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, thank you. I'm so glad that the stars aligned and you picked up my messages, because I have been hitting the ground running trying to find ways to talk about what I'm doing here in Houston, because it's such a important subject to talk about. I wrote books on my lived experiences as a person with a unique ability. I was born this way, and over time, more things have happened to me where I became more disabled. So I am now using these experiences to write and heal through them, because it's helping others and it's making an impact on people that maybe just didn't understand. They want to know more. So I have 3 books right now. One is called A Tale of a Service Animal. It's in English and in Spanish. And it was about my first service animal. Her name was Coco, and she was 17 years old when she passed. And so as she was getting older and a senior dog, I started making this coloring book about Coco when we traveled through an airport, and we lived in Colombia, so they called her Coquito. So I get to talk about her every day and her memory and all of the things that she did for me. And halfway through the book, there are facts about what the ADA, American Disability Act, means, what these different types of service animals are, and that they're working animals, not pets. So I get to use this as a story time telling. I get to use it as a nice memoir for Coco. And then my second book, all the time, people say to me, what is it like having to do this every day? Because I'm an adult and I'm independent, and I also travel as much as I possibly can. And people are curious, how do I do all of these things? What are these resources? What is it like to be in your position? And so I made this guide. It's an A to Z guide. Like, A is for ambulatory, which means that you can move in between devices. So sometimes I use a wheelchair. Sometimes I use crutches. Sometimes I use exoskeleton suit. Same for you, ambulatory. So I try to find easy ways so someone can read this book in a setting. And now I have companies like Charles Schwab that has reached out to me to do disability etiquette, welcoming inclusion to their entire office, to talk about how they can be more belonging in their setting for individuals like myself, and how I adapt. So these books have become a business for me, but also a way for me to get this word out there so that everybody can feel welcome and accessible for all, because I am underestimated all the time because of what I look like. I'm underestimated because I'm small, I'm petite. I come in and I change the energy in the room. I'm an operations person. I've also worked in legal, so I know my stuff. And so people are just like blown away and shocked, because I'm like, no, they'll say to me, this is all we have. Well, this is not even the bare minimum. This is what you're supposed to have. And so I just have to take that patience and that grace and almost kill them with kindness, where it's like, I'm just letting you know that I'm approaching you today and we're talking about this, because later I'm going to reference this in an email, then I'm going to file a complaint. And the complaints, the reason why they have to be done is because change won't be made.
Yeah, 100%.
Change doesn't made until somebody says something. So as much as it is kind of annoying for me to do this complaining all day, I have systems. I just take that template, boom, locked it in, check back in 30 days. and that's how I make change.
Well,
I love that. I might actually need your advice on that. I was, yeah, no, because I, deaf people often get the, oh, you're dumb or you're stupid comment all the time because of the way we speak, because sometimes we have a delayed response because we're trying to read lips, read the body language, hear what the person said, and also, fill in the blanks whenever you have to. And so I had someone recently online who's a university professor call me the R-slur and say that I should have been in the short bus and all the stuff. And I was like, okay, look, I know where you work, sir. Like, I'm going to go and proceed with filing a formal complaint. I've never done that before. So, because generally you just brush them off. For someone like that who has access to young students, like, I feel like there's a line crossed there, especially making the comment as a public in a public setting. So
yeah, but 100%, I mean, you have to speak up, and because if you just let it slide, there's never going to be any change. People are never going to get pushed back. No one will ever, change their ways in terms of how they treat people. So I mean, never feel bad about making complaints. I mean, that's how we get change in today's society. It's amazing because, again, I think a lot of people, maybe when they come across someone who has some type of disability, a lot of people don't care about things unless they're affected by it personally. But if you can educate people on them and have them connect with your story, then they kind of, I guess they can kind of have empathy or feel some of the struggles that you go through in your everyday life. And it helps them kind of feel that connection to where they might actually care about that. I mean, people sadly in our society are selfish. They don't really care about things unless it affects them directly. But I mean, your story is, as soon as you contacted me and reached out to me and I heard your story, I'm like, I told AJ, we got to have her on the show, because I mean, it's just an amazing story. We love animals. We have, how many? We have 5 adopted animals. So when I heard it was about service animals. Yeah, we have a farm for sure, 100%. when I heard it was about service animals and your book and your story were connected to that, I mean, I wanted to speak with you in regards to just your journey and so forth.
Thank you. That means a lot. It's like I am paving the way for myself. I've had to sacrifice a lot of different things. People, places, things, family, friends, jobs that I used to have, and just to be able to evolve and become what I'm passionate about, which is this storytelling. Because like you had shared and how what we're sharing right now, it's almost as if unless it is directly affecting them, it's no one's that person's going to act like they don't understand, they don't have enough time, there's not enough resources or money. But what I say is if one person fails to access whatever that space is, that establishment, that concert, then we failed. We need to find the easiest way for everyone to be invited and to have equal dwelling. Because many times before I even go out and do anything, especially Houston, the sidewalks here are awful. They are just torture. And I was like, this is gonna be really hard. So I've had to repark my van a couple times because I've got a wheelchair van. And of course you get the same, people that are not supposed to be parking in reserved disability parking.
That's a huge problem here in Houston.
Yeah, and they're like, I'm only going to be a few minutes, and I'm like, I have somewhere to be too. Like, why, there's 4-wheeler spots, like a little bit down there. It's always that everyone. It feels like everybody's more important, and than I am in some of these situations because they're not thinking about this spot is not for them. This spot is for individuals that have that placard or that handicap plate. And so not only do I have to make sure on Google Maps that wherever I'm going has parking, but also with Houston, the sidewalks don't always have those curbs. So Oreo and I don't let her on the ground if we're not on a sidewalk. She has to sit on my lap and I have to roll down the middle of the parking lot or in some cases across the street, and people can't see me because I'm at that level of short. So it's before I even start my day, my battery goes from like high to 0 just to like show up at that place. And I feel like a lot of this awareness and story reading in my YouTube channel and my TikTok talking about it, it's starting to wake people up on the inside, like ding, ding, wow. And then they'll share with me things that they have experienced or their family. And that's what I'm doing. I'm building these communities and building a place where people come and talk about it. Because a lot of times we don't have enough people to talk about. And once you get it off your chest and you let it out, you're like, wow, I feel a lot better. This other person's going through it and they might be going through it worse than I am. Yeah. So what do I have to do to complain? So that's why even though I am going through all that energy, I still wake up with gratitude. I still wake up with strength because life is short and we're here for a good time, not a long time. My disability has shaped me to show me that at any moment in your life, you can become disabled, or in my case, more disabled.
Well, that's any of it. I mean, your life can change in an instant. I mean, anything can happen. I mean, that's one thing that I think a lot of people don't realize, or they don't want to think about that, but it's definitely 100% correct that can happen. What are some barriers that you think people with disabilities in today's society still face today that don't get enough attention? I know you just spoke about, parking. I know that's a huge issue and people, taking spots and so forth. But what's another major thing that you think impacts people's lives with disabilities that we should try to put in the spotlight?
Yeah, I can name 3 right off the top of the bat. First, I'm a part of the National Low Income Housing Association. So I speak about how when I'm looking for an apartment, accessible apartments are either given away right away because they're trying to fill that quota, or they don't have enough, or they use the accessible apartment spaces for storage or construction equipment. So one of the biggest barriers for me is to finding a place that I love and I want to be at, but I can't be there unless I pay for the accommodations or the modifications, because the property managers, the developers, they're seeing dollar signs and they're flipping units versus holding those units. So as a society, we should be holding those units for individuals that need them, not because they're bigger, because they're more than likely the bathrooms are bigger because they're more accessible. So that's one of my biggest ones right now is like, I'm trying to find places to travel. I'm trying to find a stable home, and I'm just running into not enough inventory or not a thought about process. Doors are not my friend. Doors and I do not get along. The handicap blue push button, I met a gentleman in Ann Arbor 2 weeks ago at a disability conference called Vision, and it was for low vision, hearing, and physical disabilities. And he showed me that he created a technology for the push button for $100. It comes with that mechanism at the top, and it has a little string down, and he showed me how to do it. He's like, you can install these at your Airbnb. I'm like, I'm not installing anything at the Airbnb, but I got you. And I'd say the third thing is traveling. And I know we touched on it a little bit, but earlier about some of those, people taking advantage of the wheelchair services. Well, how about taking advantage of devices and not being trained? I've had 3 of my devices broken by airlines. Silver Airways damaged my wheelchair by leaving it in the rain as I was waiting for a transfer chair to come get me. Instead of covering it or putting it under something, all the cushion, everything got destroyed, the brakes, the handlebars. They went out of business. Silver Airways, they were only brand new, 2 years old. JetBlue bought brand new jets for them. Now they are not at fault, so they don't have to pay for a new wheelchair. Viva Airlines damaged my scooter while I was traveling from Miami to Colombia, and it took me the mayor and the Miami Police Department to get them to send it to me, and they gave it to me in 2 pieces in the back of a taxi.
Wow.
So I'm scared to fly because of the trauma that I've had.
Yeah, I could
I ended
understand
up
that.
in a new place, and my legs are gone, and you can't just call up a wheelchair company.
Yeah, to get a
Right.
replacement. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like you're traveling there and you get there and you have all these plans and then like no way to get there, no way to make them happen.
And then the fights and the fights and the fights for all of that, and all these different Montreal acts because it's international. That's why I started studying law. It's because nobody knows what's going on in the DOJ or the transport, none of that, the air access. So I started learning all of these things.
Yeah, no, that's very, very smart.
So I can learn who to talk to and who I need to call.
Yeah,
That
for
makes
sure.
sense.
Can I circle back around to the housing issues and concerns? So are there not any type of federal laws right now that state that apartment complexes have to have a certain amount of their units, I guess you would say accessible for people with disabilities? Or is there not any type of laws or restrictions in terms of that?
There are certain laws that apply to apartments that receive federal money. So there's a certain percentage of apartments that are supposed to be delegated to the apartment complex, as well as handicap parking spaces. So this many spaces per floor, this many units per building. And there's also laws that protect persons with disabilities so they can't be discriminated for their service animals or requesting reasonable accommodations or modifications. I've had property managers retaliate against me by towing my car in handicap, by the way, and threatening me that they're gonna take my scooter away because it was in the hallway and it was an egress issue. But I had the fire marshal come out. Fire marshal said this is not an egress issue, blah, blah, blah. So I sometimes feel that even though there are these laws that are supposed to be protecting me, they're not always following compliance.
Yeah.
Or someone's paying somebody off and then they get to continue on with, however the things that they're doing behind the scenes.
I would assume that if there are fines involved with that they're probably very minimum. So they can still get more profit, going around those laws and not following them versus, pay the fine and they still have profit renting that unit out to someone else, basically, that's not handicapped. Yeah, there's definitely needs to be some change in that aspect for sure.
Yeah, and that's why I joined the National Low Income Housing Association, because there are many times that people talk, about homelessness, and a lot of homelessness comes from people with disabilities because they don't have somewhere to live. They don't have a caregiver or the resources that they need. They have mental health. Mental health is also a disability. It's something people need to start to understand, that it's not just physical. There's always inside things there too. And so one of the things that I'm constantly writing letters for and testimonials is we want to contribute. We as a disability community, we want to contribute to the workplace and society, but we are faced with things like these housing issues when America should be the leaders in this. America should show like, wow, we are the forefront of how we can help people like ourselves to respect your neighbor. You know, you will become disabled at one point if we all start to use our energy to do good and do what's right. Integrity is about doing things when others aren't watching. And I think society is like everyone's looking at you through a digital lens now where they just want to do it unless people are liking it and commenting it. But is it the right thing to do? One of the things that I say all the time is, are you a part of the problem or are you part of the solution? When people try to ask me these things.
Yeah, so that would be, I guess you would say mental health would be considered in the group of invisible disabilities, you know, struggles that people face without, you know, it's not visible to the public eye when you see somebody. You know, severe pain would be chronic pain would be another of that sort as well. I mean, people see people with a handicap placard, you know, and they're like, oh, they don't even have a wheelchair or a crutch. You know, at that time, maybe their pain is not that severe where they can walk maybe for that brief moment, but there might be days where they're not able to as well. So, I mean, or they might be able to park there, they go into the store, and as they walk around the store, their pain level goes up. So they need to be able to get back to their vehicle at a quicker time frame than having to walk all the way to the back of the parking lot. Yeah,
I struggle with that. Last night we went to a store and we walked around for like an hour. I had the crutch in my car and I was like, no, I'll be fine. And then we came out and got home and I wanted to sit at the computer, but I was like, I cannot even stand sitting down. I just had to go lay down because like that 1 hour wiped me out from the pain.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I have chronic illness as well, so I have pain from the time that I wake up to the time that I lay down because of what my bones are. I have my disability with sacral genesis is that my bones deteriorate faster than a able-bodied person. So when I do my DEXA scans, they show that my bones are of a 60-year-old woman or older, and I have to do all these calcium and iron and et cetera and sit in the sun. But there is a chance that if I break something that it might not be able to be healed, but we always try to think, you know, the best of the best. And I'm very careful, but I do bruise easily. But I meditate and I pray a lot. So I take this pain that I'm thinking about and I try to be distracted with something. But people online they'll cyberbully me. I can't believe that people even like want to attack somebody like myself or anybody like me because they say that I'm faking it, or how do I have this and that if I'm disabled? And so I go back and I just kill them with kindness, because I say it just takes a lot of hard work, a lot of resilience, and a lot of mindset. It's your attitude. And the reason why you don't have these things is because you don't have a positive attitude. So instead of trying to shoot me out of the sky when I'm flying my shooting star, why don't we do it together? You know, I always try to build up versus building and breaking down. I'm a builder-upper.
I love that. Well, that was going to be my next question. I was going to ask, how do you stay positive during difficult times, you know, during the struggles and things that are the hard part of your disability? And I mean, you pretty much just answered that. So
yeah, I'm an artist. So I do love my moments of solitude because it helps me be inspired. I like to kind of remain single because I enjoy where the world takes me, and there's just it's hard times to find somebody that can, I don't want to say deal with this because it's not a good word to say, but how they can empower me but not also make me feel like I'm a burden, because there are relationships and friendships where, you know, the giver will always give, you know, until they stop letting the taker take. So I have to put these boundaries into place where, no, I am better than that. I am better than that person that's treating me this way, making me feel bad about what I'm doing. Just because I have all these things, I can't control this. I can't control that I need medical devices and bags to, you know, go to the bathroom and different things. And I'm in the hospital a lot more than I talk about, but I like that. That's my world. That's my movie of my life. I hold those things inside, and I'll maybe occasionally write about it on the blog, but I want people to see that I am a positive person. I am trucking through it. I do have these hardships and these challenges, but I find that life is so exciting, and there's something that I want to see and something new that I want to see. So even if I am faced with some of those things, I try to find gratitude in that. Because my mother, when she was alive, she was a special ed teacher for 30 plus years. Before I was born, she was doing special ed. And the way that she was so patient with people that are different and unique and all these things, it showed me that I need to be a little bit more empathetic as well and give myself grace, because I am doing a lot of good stuff. I need to pat myself on the back more. And that's why when I am, like you asked me, how do I stay positive? I think about all the really good things that are going for me. And then I try to put all that energy of the stuff that's pulling me down. I am learning boundaries more and more and more. And as much as my attitude is I don't want to make people feel bad, sometimes you got to cut the cord in order for you to let other things move into placement so there's room for it.
I like that. No, you have a really good outlook on your life for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's not easy, as a, AJ having disabilities, we've been together 20 years, and, I've been with her through her struggles, this whole time. So, I mean, it's definitely, it's challenging, I see her, how strong she is. So I know you're a strong person as well, because it's a lot to deal with and cope with.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like to think about like a partner that has to be the right person. Like you said, it's not put up with, but like to be able to handle the life that comes with your life or my life, right? Like we come with baggage, we come with requirements and things that are that are needed. And I think it's amazing that you're so independent and that you're able to take care of all those things,
Yeah, it is amazing. It is. It really is.
Yeah, I always put a lot of like my success on Joe because, like I said, I've had so many really painful surgeries. I've had a lot of like, a lot of stuff. Yeah.
It's all her. I don't take anything for that. I'm here for support. I mean, she's the strong person in my view, and I would never change anything.
I love that for you. And how did you originally meet, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, we actually met through just
online.
Online. We connected through through a Nirvana. We both like Nirvana, and it was like I gave her. Oh no, it was Edgar Allan Poe actually. I think she had a quote from Edgar Allan Poe on her profile. That was like during the MySpace days.
Okay.
Yeah,
way back.
That's showing our age.
That is awesome. Yeah. I appreciate the compliments. On Saturday at one of my author signings with Barnes Noble, I had a man sit with me for a little bit, and he bought one of my books, The ABCs of Disability Etiquette, and he said to me, I work at a resource center for disabled adults, and we do summer camp, and he said to me, I am so proud of you, because I work with these adults and I look at their parents and I say, what happens when you pass away? What is this adult going to do? So he tries to give them this 4 or 5 a week long away summer camp from their parents so that they can learn some of these economic ethics, these types of things of being independent. But he says, well, are my parents going to be there? So a lot of adults that have disabilities are codependent of their parents. But my family, I was adopted as a toddler. So my grandparents adopted me and my 2 brothers. And it was really my mom, like my mom who's my grandma, but I call her my mom because she adopted me since such a young age. She'd always instill confidence in me because I never liked wearing shorts. I never liked people seeing my legs. I didn't like being different. I was the only one in the class that had a wheelchair. So I'd say, why do people tease me? Why are people picking on me? And then she'd always say, it's because you're beautiful. So she would always flip it around on me. And then it would just constantly make me think, oh my gosh, maybe I am like really awesome. And then I just like now, like there is nothing that anyone can say to me that I haven't already heard growing up. I am so strong. My skin is so thick that I can travel these countries and I can be in critical thinking, dangerous situations and still be calm, because I adapt to every single thing all day long. And I don't think a lot of people have those experiences. My doctors tell me that I'm a champion for their department because they say that I've lived 20 plus person's lifetime. I don't, I just have that can do attitude, even with all of this going on. I'm just like, you know what? Yep. Maybe half of the day I need to be resting, but that other half of the day I'm going to be painting or I'm going to be enjoying. And, the average able bodied person, they don't have that willpower to be motivated. So
Yeah,
this
I mean,
actually gets me motivated.
yeah, some people that are completely healthy, I mean, they'll just sit on the couch all day watching TV. I mean, I give you praise that you're actually out there doing something. I mean, it's just awesome. I think people take for granted what they have sometimes, and to see what you're doing with your life is just, it's just amazing. It really is. It should really make other people who I hope people that are watching this, that hear your story, that it motivates them to get out there and do something.
Yeah, and I think the important message is for people to realize that doing these things, like you may have the confidence and all of that, but it takes so much more effort, like physically and mentally and resource wise, to be able to do what the average person gets to do. Just get up and go and do it. Like just go out the door, walk out, and like it takes you a lot of work before you get to even get out the door.
Yeah.
And hopefully that helps society become better at making the world more accessible for everybody.
It's emotionally draining. It's physically draining. There's a lot of unfairness. It's like, I'm like sometimes shocked. And then I'm just like, what is like, is this what I'm really going through? And so I bought a camera on Amazon. It was about $60. And it's a little clip-on. So many times when I'm traveling or I'm using Uber or train, because I don't have it documented, I don't have any stories about things that are going wrong or things that were misplaced or mishandled. So now I have this little camera that I have recording at all times when I'm going in and out of doors, and I've been uploading that content to my TikTok and my YouTube, and it's getting millions and millions of views and lots of comments. I get hundreds of comments a day, and I just don't have the bandwidth to do it all, but I know that they're there, and it just shines awareness. Like, I can't believe that happened today. Like that's,
Yeah.
And then the retaliation is more like bringing that awareness, I'm not trying to hurt them negatively, but I am trying to help them follow suit to the policies that are built for people to protect me.
Yeah, and also for the people themselves, like the people that are watching and that they see that, so they know not to like behave the same way, or they like, oh wow, okay, that is wrong.
Yeah, they
So
can
if I
learn
see-
from that experience.
Yeah, and if I see someone doing it, call it out too.
Well, that was one of the areas I wanted to cover, was going to be social media impact. And I mean, that right there really highlights the aspect of how powerful social media can be when it's used in the proper way to, to be able to get that advocacy out there, to amplify, the voice or the life of a disabled person. They actually get that view. Like you said, you're posting those videos on your TikTok. So it's like they're almost there to experience it, and they can see the struggles that you experience when you're out in public through social media. So, I mean, it's a great tool when it's used properly.
I myself even get admired when I see community that are doing amazing things. I follow a lot of Access users. I'm an ambassador for some of the bigger conferences that go around the United States they do speeches and panels, and they have tools for your shower, etc. And I want to be where my people are. So I travel to them and I find them through social media, and we connect with each other. And then I'm learning something that I didn't know before, so that I can make my business more inclusive, my books more accessible. And I want to be able to, again, like I say this all the time, I want to be a hero. I just want to be somebody's hero, because there was not enough representation for me growing up, for service dogs, for children in wheelchairs. I was the only one in a wheelchair in the community that I grew up. And I just didn't have anything to look at to say, this life is possible, because there's just wasn't enough of it to show me that disability people are contributing. And now that I see TikTok and Instagram and YouTube with my tribe, our tribe, I get excited. I get fired up. I'm like, look at that person going, like riding bikes or going, you know, doing all these fun things. And so I appreciate their adventures because it makes me want to continue mine.
That's great. That's really, really cool. One of the other questions I had for you was going to be who's been your biggest support through your journey. But I mean, you seem like it's your mom that you stated on there. So I mean, I could tell that she was a big part of you being the person you are today and having the confidence that you have today.
Yeah.
I do have a question. Like you mentioned that you do art and painting, and I think before the show you said music.
Yes, I did. I used to have a label, a techno label. So I would travel with producers in Colombia and we made parties throughout the mountains. It was so much fun. And
Yeah,
Detroit,
it's awesome. You were doing DJ stuff, right? I saw you some of the videos you had posted. That's really, really cool.
Yep. And then, you know, unfortunately, after the boating crash, I can't stand on my feet now, so it's hard for me to sit comfortably to make music. But I still can appreciate a nice dance if it's possible for me to have, you know, access there. Music and art are the biggest places for me to escape this world and go into my own reality. And that is my world. That's my safe space. That's my safe haven. And it just helps me get that distraction, like helps me get through the day to get to the next thing.
Yeah, music and art are really, really a good source of just being able to survive in this world for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah, despite my lack of hearing, I've always been like inspired by music, and even more so after I got my implant, because now the technology is streamed straight into my brain, sort of. So like I get to experience the music a lot better, and I don't know, it just wakes something up in you.
Yes, it does. Yep, music is the answer. Yep.
Yeah, that's cool. So you said you had
no, go ahead.
You mentioned that you had your genetic condition from birth, and then that you had an accident. How did that affect your mobility?
Yes, this is a place where I'm going to be vulnerable. So with my disability, with my sacral genesis, I grew up, I've had 19 surgeries, just to kind of give like the prologue of it. And throughout my childhood, I used a walker, full body braces. I slept with the braces on. I had a wheelchair, and then I moved into forearm crutches, which I thought were my way of independent. They were my accessories. They were an extension of me. And then in 2024, I was involved in a serious boating crash with a reckless driver. He hit a wake. It split the boat in half. And so 7 of us went into the water. And so it was like, I'm still going through these processes of like being around water and not being so anxious and still having that PTSD, but it broke my foot. And so my crutches went into the water. And then when I saw that my foot was broken, I was like, oh, this is not going to be good. So now, because of that situation, I can't stand without falling on my feet. So I am now a full-time wheelchair-bound person. I use my crutches for transfers or for stairs, and I usually scoot, or just for like special instances. And so now that I'm in a wheelchair, things are so different. You have to make sure that the space to get there, to get inside, everything is comfortable. Crossing the street can be dangerous. Getting wheelchair repairs. So this is a hard part of my life because I'm 37, and with my disability, you know, I'm getting older and I'm deteriorating more. My body is not working as strong as it was with crutches. And now I have to work 10 times harder because of the chair. The chair is heavy to get it in and out, to get things set up. And so I'm being humbled in so many ways where I'm grieving that old self, that independent self that I made. And now I'm using this new way of learning as an opportunity to help the world become more accessible, because I'm documenting some of these problems that I'm having, or I'm even showing like some of my good times Like, wow, this is an accessible tiny house, or wow, this is an accessible way to travel. So there's the good and there's the bad and then there's the ugly, but you have to have that in a combination with anything in life. And so I am using the chair as my throne. This is one of my other wheelchair friends say. He's like, you're the blue-eyed queen. Your chair is your throne. It's helping you get to your place from here to there. So it's those ways of thinking from other people that help put the wind beneath my wings.
I love that. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Let me see what else we have here.
Doing my best.
No, you're doing great. It's been a great conversation so far. Just trying to see, we've covered quite a bit here, actually. I mean,
I think one of the things, if we could, is if we could circle back to like service animal awareness.
Let's go for that. Yeah, whatever you'd like to talk about, let's go for it.
Okay, yeah. So, one of the points that I brought up earlier is that I didn't know that service animals existed. There were so many things as a child. The ADA was born in 1991. I'm an 80s baby, so they didn't even have these laws in place until later. So now with service animal etiquette, there are ways that you can go online. There's canine companions. There's different organizations. You can have a service animal trained for you, or you can learn how to train your own service animals. So I want people to know that you shouldn't defer yourself from wanting to get a furry companion, because you might think that it's a lot of work, and it can be. I trained Oreo myself along with another person. I was sharing Dan at Canine Unified. But there are resources where the dogs are ready to go. They need homes, they need their handler. So just put that thought process, open-mindedness to just try it, because you never know. That could take away a lot of extra stress that you're facing if you have your service animal. So I always tell people to just give it a try. It might change your life.
Are there organizations out there that help people with cost involved with getting a service animal or training a service animal if they're low income or so forth, that don't have the funds to be able to get one?
I'm from Michigan, so the state of Michigan has a program called the Vocational Rehab Program. So that was something that I actually brought up to them, where I said, look, this training is expensive. This is thousands and thousands of dollars. I need Oreo as an extension of me so that I can perform my workplace duties. And so unfortunately, they did not accommodate me in service animal training, because they said that they've never done it before. It's never been a policy thought. So I said, well, let's write a policy about it. So I think that we're still this the state of Michigan in general, because I can only speak on that. That's
correct. I understand. Yeah.
But there needs to be more of these disability grants that are set aside just for these types of tasks, like at the hospitals or at physical therapy or at occupational therapy, where you might become injured and now you need a service animal to help you with whatever that traumatic injury was, a crash or a seizure, etc. And so that's one of my new things that I'm trying to work towards, is to find these types of resources for people, these disability resource centers, and say, hey, is there a way that we can write a law that you can get X amount of dollars dedicated aside, and here's why. It'll help this many people in your state. It'll bring this much awareness, and it'll bring this much business to your county, etc. So I'm crossing my fingers that we get more awareness around that.
Okay, I'm definitely going to look into that. And if I can find some local resources, I'm going to post them in the comments for this stream here, because maybe there's someone that's watching who's interested in that, to get a service animal, but again, they don't have the funds to do it. So hopefully Houston has some type of organizations, which I'm sure they do, as we're a very large city. So I would hope Houston would have something like that.
Yeah, I love even in the Children's Hospital, the Texas Children's Hospital. Our son had 2 apparent surgeries there, and the last one was in 2020, and he was a little bit older, like he was 8, and there was a point in the process where they needed to take out some parts, some tubes or something, and he was so scared of it. And they brought one of the dogs and they put him on the bed, and that helped so much. It was amazing. Like, he was just so distracted with the dog, and it was like, oh, they just pulled it right out and done. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Like, the anxiety was worse than the actual procedure, and the dog provided that ease to the anxiety. So it's like, I don't know, they're just so amazing, service dogs.
Well, those would be compassion dogs, correct? That's what it would be. They would be labeled under.
Or therapy dogs.
Oh, therapy dogs. That's the term
Yeah.
you used earlier. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
ESA,
There we go.
emotional support animals.
Okay.
Yeah, could be one of those. Yeah, I think that's so awesome. Yeah, I get a lot of misconceptions because Oreo is so small. And many service animals are German Shepherds or Labs or Golden Retrievers or etc. And so because Oreo in Coco, she's a Chihuahua Terrier and Coco was a miniature pinscher Chihuahua. It's like, but I'm a small person and I have a small stature and I have a small wheelchair. So I need to be able to have my small service animal comfortable for me. So I'm combating that online as well, where it's just like I have to re-explain to people. I don't feel like I need to justify to people why I have Oreo, but sometimes you have to lightly do it so that they kind of like stay away from you. Like she's doing her job.
Yeah, no, you're always gonna have people online that the naysayers, I guess you would call them. They just want to always cause drama, unfortunately.
Yeah,
that just comes with social media these days.
Yep.
Unfortunately,
if you're doing something good, someone's gonna try to take a little bit of that shine.
Yeah. Pour the rain on the sunshine. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Was there anything else that you wanted to cover, like about your books or what you're doing, your tour?
Yeah. Tell us where people can come out and see you. I think you still have a few more book signings here in the Houston area, correct?
Yeah, I'll be in Conroy, Spring, Garland. I'll be back in Copperfield. So yeah, I have 4 left, and I think I might stick around a little because I'm already down here. Texas is interesting. I was thinking of doing some plans possibly in Dallas for 4th of July, just to check some things out. I go wherever I flow, I guess. I don't always have a long thinking plan. I have a plan of what I want to be in a year or 5 years, but 2 weeks down the road, I might, switch a left to go to a right. But with my Barnes and Noble signing, that's what's taking me to all these places: Louisiana, New York, Florida, and Ohio, and Massachusetts. And because of the signing, I get to travel those places, meet hundreds of families, make impact, and then they reach back out to me through DMs and they tell me their follow-up stories. I have moms and dads that say to me, my daughter reads your book every single night before she goes to bed. She's like, where's Coco? And so I love that. That just means like, okay, she met me that one time, and now I'm a thought process in her day. And that to me is like the biggest Hail Mary. It just shows that all this work, you only see that tip of the iceberg, that 10%. Everything below, it's all the stuff churning behind the wheels. It's the relationship building. It's the conversation. It's the follow-up. It's the polished brand. And I have that energy to do it because I want to be the voice for the voiceless. A lot of individuals that have disabilities, our battery is out. Is it worth it? And so I'm like, I got you. It is worth it. Let me take the reins and let me help you.
I know that like refills your emotional battery, basically, like your feelings battery.
Yeah, it like supercharges me, all these different things and these questions. And children, they don't have a filter, and I feel like that's just what we should be like. They'll say to me, how did you become disabled? Why are you in a wheelchair? Can you move your toes? They ask me all kinds of random questions, and I love it. I think the best way is to educate versus assume, because there are so many assumptions that you can make, but you really don't know about what that person's really going through unless you ask. So, and that's another thing is people say that they're afraid to ask if I need help because they don't want to take away my independence or my dignity. And I say, we got to get rid of that misconception, because it is always best to ask versus just watching that person have a hard time doing it. Like,
hey, can I help you with that? Do you need assistance with that? I'd be glad to help you. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And I would say that it's better to ask first, though, than to like pull on somebody's wheelchair when they're trying to do something, because you might hurt them. Like you might hurt their arm or something. Like if you're already holding onto your wheels and somebody pushes it, it might hurt your fingers, whatever. So like it's definitely better to ask the question. But like, it's really helpful to ask because that person may actually be like, oh yeah, please help me.
Yeah, that's totally inappropriate to grab somebody's wheelchair and move them. I cannot tell you how many times people will see me there in a place and then they'll make me move versus them going around. So I'll just be like, no, I'm staying here. You go all the way around. And so that's a big pet peeve for me. When somebody moves me, I'm not in the way. You're in my way. Or another thing that I talked about on a podcast, Rick Bader, he has a Wheelchair Wednesday. When people tap my head, I am not a dog. I do not pet me. Why are you tapping my head like I'm doing a good job? It's like it makes me feel like I'm not a person. I'm not being seen. Like, I appreciate you giving me the good job, but I don't know you. So keep it against
100%.
yourself.
I am 4'8". I get that so much. Oh, I hate it. I don't like it. The pats on the head. I'm like, no.
Or they'll try to tap Oreo. They'll be in the middle of Oreo, and I usually, can catch them really quickly to just be like, please don't. Would you want me to touch your baby without asking?
Yeah, true. And like you were saying with the wheelchair thing, people trying to move you. I mean, the wheelchair is an extension of you. That's pretty much like your body. So would you try to move somebody out of your way? It's the same circumstance or distance, you would say. Yeah.
I have to hold my tongue a lot, especially being a Detroiter. I'm a Detroiter. I have to be calm a lot because I have to go through the 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 3, 2, 1. Is it worth it? Like, is it worth doing this? So I have to like weigh the odds. Do I want to go off on this person today, or I'm just gonna let it go?
Yeah, let it go.
But I do think about it.
Yeah. I do love your tattoos. Me and AJ, we're both. Can you tell us about your tattoos? Like, do they have any type of story behind them?
Yeah, definitely. I got these all in Colombia. So this is the Hail Mary. It's a rosemary. So when I'm Catholic, I have I have faith and I pray a lot. I ask God, where do you want me to be? Who do you want me to be around? What do you want to show me? And he always opens and closes doors for me all the time. And so when I lived in Colombia with Coco, I went to a church on the side of the mountains, and all these candles were burning, like huge candles, like 10 feet long candles. It was the most beautiful mass ever. And that's where I would go. And so someone gave me one of the scriptures. And so I immediately resonated because I was like, wow, this is so important to me. And, it was definitely a lot of pain, but when you have high tolerance, it was okay. And I do get a lot of compliments because he did such a great job, Sebastian. And I'm done with tattoos, but the meaning is that it shows my faith.
I love that. They look really cool. I like them. Yeah, and I like the ones that are meaningful to like people, like whatever it might be that it means to them, as long as it's deep to you and it means something to you. That's good.
Yeah, really, really awesome. Well, we're coming on the hour mark here, so I do have one more question for you here so we could close out. Let's see here. So if you could leave our Houston audience here that we have watching that will see this video with one message about disability inclusion, accessibility, kindness, what would it be? Like, what would you say to them?
I would say that everyone should have more patience. Everyone needs to have more kindness and compassion, because you might not know what that person is going through internally. They might have a disability as well as other things that are going on, or they might not be able to process things well. Everybody feels something different. Everybody learns differently too. So I always say, give grace, because it is easier to be kind to somebody than to be mean to them. Like, everybody here, we all have to respect our neighbors. We have to help each other. That is why we were put here, is to do that. It's to give each other grace. And so for individuals with disabilities, have patience, because you might be in pain now, but pain is temporary. And I use my pain for purpose. And so you just have to find that resting time. Give yourself that grace, give yourself that self-love, and just remember that you are who you are for those purposeful reasons. You just have to look inside and figure out what those meanings are for you.
I think that's spot on. Definitely need more people to have more grace in the world for sure, and just more empathy, and just be more kind to everybody, because we're all here together. I mean, what's
Yeah,
the
there's
point
no
of
rush. We're going the same way. We're all going the same
100%.
way. Yeah, thank you so much for having me today. I was so glad
No,
to be
it's
here.
been great, and I will be posting the different the additional book signings you have. I'll post information on there so people can find that information. Hopefully some of the viewers can get out and meet you in person, and I
Yeah.
hope that we can come and meet you at one of the signings as well. We
Cool.
love that.
Yeah, that would be fun.
That'd be super fun. Yes, thank you for sharing with me and giving me a platform to talk about all the things that I'm trying to stir up and make impact for everybody and do good things for the community. First time in Houston, and so far so good.
Well, welcome to Houston. We're glad to have you here. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yay.
Bye, everybody.